and Achieve. They're going to work their way over to this top floor, and Bolo's going to back up. Wondering where Bolo plans to use his last air jab. Oh.
Air jab ready.
Do you think he meant to put it right there? It's a big...
Yeah, why not?
The right side of that doorway?
Why not?
I thought he was aiming for the top of that door. I could be wrong, but... All right. So with time starting to dwindle down now, I mean, all players left alive and the Toxic Babe is going to be in effect. The lifeline is going to be completely empty. This Merc slowly moves in. Fox A is going to go ahead and get the nice Nitro Cell. Knocking out Gotcha. There you have it. But Merc is going to have an answer back for him. Now it's a 4v4.
A grenade or not, he's going to be able to yeet something at his opponents. Oh, so close from Achieved. Contesting the bathroom. Bolo with no air jab left, as they've all been used up. And he's looking down. It's a tight angle for him to watch. Pojo Man will go in for the plant. Bolo's firing into those bullet holes created before. And Pojo Man, he's going to put it down. Yes, but Fox, perfect time for the rotation. He gets 2 kills. Sky's on the refrag. Achieved gets Fox. It's a 2-2. The air jab works, but Mark gets the kill on Merc. This is all planted so well for Achieved. He's got no grenades though, so you have to worry about that. Retro's going to watch, and they're going to try to long arm this diffuser from behind the table. Mark is going to go for it. They fire down. The Maestro spotted, and Achieved gets the kill. Continue. Morning cartoons before going to work. Back in the old Star Wars, the animated series on Cartoon Network. We don't have that here.
No.
Pro League to watch. And he's definitely putting up a massive show this evening, to say the least. TSM are fighting for their spot to get out of relegations. Reciprocity are fighting for their chances in Japan. Reciprocity tying today might spell disaster for them.
They don't need it. They don't want it. They can't have it. From Reciprocity, they're going to have an answer back for TSM. TSM having a wild comeback right now. And yeah, you hear a few of IQ's pistols going off in the distance. Wonder what she's shooting at exactly. It has to be post. That it's going to be Fox A down below. But Bolo, is he going to be the one that shuts Fox A down?
Oh, Fox was on the rotation back from yellow. It's a great pick off here. See, he peeked a bit too wide. Bit of damage done to Merc. Off the cross, there's a smoke watching it. I'm going to keep firing down into him. Grenade will be thrown into connector room. And will blow up, but it's not going to hit anybody back there. Oh, great position from Merc. And this is why you love to have Fox in this spot. So close to getting a third, but Retro and Laxing will find a kill each. Again, Reciprocity, a man down on the retake. Pojo Man, Bolo, and Achieved, the last alive. Achieved is watching on the reverse repel, and Achieved gets one.
Well, first let's draw our default reinforcements. We always have a reinforcement in connector. We always have these 2 walls reinforced. We typically see the copy reinforced, and I highly suggest, obviously, reinforcing the admin wall. Cool. There's always going to be a rotate between the meeting wall and into long desk, and teams have to make a decision as to which rotate they want in waiting or on connector wall. This is my suggestion. You can get angles from the meeting balcony in through connector, and I believe it would see any player rotating through this hole here. So if you're worried about a team planting on meeting, then the rotate should be on the side here. Of course, and we won't talk about this any more than what I'm going to say right now. If a player goes on connector repel, then they get a angle into all of sight, and so that makes the execute into console much stronger. But again, we're not going to be thinking about all the use cases. We're just thinking about what do we do when the plant is going down in meeting here. So we have a player in that position because we're indicating that that's the planner. We know that the primary support needs to come from Visa Stairs because he, of course, has angles into connector, as well as ways to contest the long desk push should it come. Then we have a player necessary on long desk in order to cover the alternate angles in connector, as well as contest long desk more directly. We've seen how powerful this is because, hey, the best player in the world in Fabian died from it twice in the past. Alright, now there's a little more flexibility. Ideally, I think the planter should make their way onto meeting balcony, but meeting balcony is also another choice for the plant. I just think that this is much easier for the planter to do than for, say, another player. Another thing that I mentioned in the video in the in-game is that, you know, maybe it's good to have a player on balcony as well as your planter planting and meeting, just because if this player were to go down for some reason, they can swap into that position and retry the plant. Options there. This player on meeting balcony responsible for, hey, again, connector. It's funny how like it's so important to cover connector, isn't it? And think about it, like that just makes so much sense because the connecting room, of course, is going to be a choke point. The other choke point is going to be, say, the spiral. You almost have a way to support this, but it's so quick, it's so difficult, and of course you also have long desks that you're kind of in charge of. Let's remove those arrows though, because really the highlight are the two players that we've already indicated in the copy room and be the stairs. Our other option is to get a player on spiral, and that is to, well, long desk, again, very important, and connector, another alt angle into connector. So you kind of get the idea here. And we also talked about how in my ideal world, you have a player on the first floor just outside of the lobby door who is just holding the plant denial spot right here that a defender could potentially use. And when the plant goes down, the post-plant position that this player should take is to go up either spiral or to run through and retake the service stairs in case that somehow was flanked. That's my recommendation. I think that that is very strong as well because C4 kind of the immediate answer to the woes of the defense when it comes to the second floor attack. So we already talked about this in the video, but again, great C4 spot here, great C4 spot right here. You can lob a C4, you can play a smoke here and deny the default plant spot. Also options in order to contest the balcony. This is normally a solo player on the balcony window. If you can knock out this player early, then they have to reestablish control of meeting balcony in order to enable their plant. And that is obviously very disruptive. The safest way to contest a player on meeting balcony is to throw C4. And I even think that there's a way to throw a C4 from connector window onto meeting balcony. We covered lots of different ways to run out, such as through garage, working up these stairs, and then getting that long line of sight onto the meeting balcony, as well as just some of the more non-interesting hop outs, say out of the piano window. Actually, that would be on the first floor. Say out of the piano window or antechamber, lobby door too is an option. Try to get the angle onto the repeller. These all need to probably be done pretty early though, because the thing is you need to kill the player while they're on repel, not while they're on top of the balcony. If they're on the balcony and they play far back, then you get an angle from the connector window. But yeah, you need to be able to read into when that all is happening. Typically, IQ, not the player on meeting balcony. Normally we see some kind of fragger like Ash or Buck in this position because they need to dislodge any players who are playing in meeting. So there's definitely a possibility to get a very cheeky Valcam, like here, and read into and get some kind of visual on the player on that meeting balcony. Like I said, intel is so important in order to disable these plants in order to make the correct play onto where the plant support is coming from. So the attackers, what they're going to do is they're going to entry in through admin here. Let's get onto the repel. So first, let's also, in an effort to cover all our bases, let's go over the exact routine that an attacker should do. When we're moving through admin, we want to stand on these desks just so that we don't get nitroed. You want to hit the default cam that's right there vertically, then move our way to remove the hatch, a lot of pressure there. we want to create this line of sight here to make a player think twice, and we might also get a sound cue too. Make a player think twice about flanking up the service lower stairs. If this wall is soft, we of course want it open because we want to plant in that corner there, and this is such a strong post-plant spot for our attackers. And that really rounds it out for the soft destruction that, as a routine, we always want to do on this site. So, let's talk about positions. What we see oftentimes is the planner will initially push through this area because they're a hard breacher. If they need to, they will hard breach this wall, but I don't care if they're always going to do it. You reinforce this wall because there's possibilities where either the hard breacher dies or, you know, Hibana's pellets have become more and more inconsistent as seasons have progressed, so there's just potential for there to be some kind of mistake. Then on the attacking side, what do we have? We have a player that typically goes through copy room and establishes this angle here in order to hold long desk. They don't even need to peek this really. They just need to hold this and deny players walking down this hallway. Let's open up some soft destruction. So we can assume there'll be reinforcements on this wall, a rotate on this wall, and then soft destruction on that spot there. And the reason's because we want defenders want to have an angle to help support the player in meeting to test the admin entry into meeting. What else can we assume? We can assume that there will always be a connector rotate. It might also be in the flavor of the other side. It's whatever the defenders choose to do. And that's really about it that we care about when it comes to the defense. We rotate the planner onto meeting balcony. Normally we have an attacker who gets on the meeting balcony at the very start. You got like 4 players, maybe 3 players pushing in through admin, and then you got 1 player very solo on this meeting balcony. So we want to plant in this corner here. We have the planner who's going to vault through the meeting balcony windows, get into position to begin plant. Planner moves, plants in that corner there. They're out of the job for 7 seconds. We have a player on Visa stairs. They need a hold connector. That is their primary responsibility. If they need to, they can peek out more aggressively and contest long desk, or really like that front entrance of like console. But non-ideal, which is why in the secondary position for plant support, we want a player here outside of copy room. And that's because crossfire into connector, the angle that the player on service entrance can't actually get, and also able to cover long desk. Anyone who's aggressively peeking down here, we've seen Fabian die twice from a player in this position because you know what he did? He knew that the plant was happening. He can only get an angle onto the service entrance, so he needs to wide out to stop plant. Well, there's a player there, and he dies. Now, we talk about luxury plant support. One option is to have a player on meeting balcony, more angles into long desk, an angle onto, or angle onto long desk, angle onto connector. I just put those in reverse. The thing is that the planner probably wants to move into this position post-plant, so I don't think this is actually the strongest. My preference would be to get a player on the spiral staircase. This is one of the stronger flanks when it comes to either meeting balcony, but we already said we want the planner to move into that position, or spiral. If you think that somehow they're going to deny the plant, then meeting balcony is stronger because you can reattempt the plant. If you don't think they will stop the plant, then I actually think that spiral is, in my preference, just because you get a different angle into the connector and also ways to contest long from a different perspective. The last post-plant or plant spot that I would advise for attackers is to have someone in the lobby on the main door. This is to stop anyone from C4ing the planner underneath. Right? We don't want, although C4 happens, it's not ideal and it's impossible to refrag often. But if we can deny it from happening altogether, all the better. This player post-plant is going to rotate onto either spiral stairs or to Visa stairs. We don't need them to make a play on yellow. That is a no-no. We just need you to cover plant at this point, and these are the two great positions to do so. Another option is spiral repel, but it's outside, and I don't think it's ideal. Alright, let's talk about ways to run out onto the meeting balcony, because that is certainly a focus from the attackers. So, I'm sure everyone is familiar, but you can, of course, get an angle from connector onto the meeting balcony. And you might even be able to throw a C4 from connector, though I would need to practice it. We already talked about how the plant can be denied vertically with C4. Also, soft destruction is an option. So definitely something that I would advise to do defensively as an option. Although it is a little too predictable. I'm only going to put one reinforcement here because we know that there'll be reinforcement on the spot, right? So we have this soft destruction here, and that actually gives us a good way to contest plant. You know from where? Well, a spiral. Most plant support spots are actually great, are great ways for defenders to contest the plant going down. So spiral, obviously very ideal. The plant's gonna be in that corner there, and I can shoot the player there from the safety of this reinforcement, which will deny, in theory, any of this coverage from the attackers. We got one copy room, we got one visa. Well, they don't actually see me moving up when I do so, and a good way for us to deny the plant that way. I want to mention how spiral, top of spiral, is all soft. You can throw a C4 from below and kill a player who might be in this position. Another thing is copy room, also soft. So C4 from below and kill the player in this position. So out of visa door, we can vault and we can contest the players on meeting balcony if they're repelled. Kind of risky because all the attackers are going to be in visa. A similar idea is with this window and vaulting out. Consulate is a very big run out map, but let's switch gears. Another thing to do is throw a C4 onto the meeting balcony. As long as you're within 4 meters of the explosive radius, let's see, what is that? That's 3, 4. Any 3 armor operator will die from a C4 because the C4 does, I believe, like 103 damage from that kind of range. You can also put a gas canister in this spot here. This will clip through the wall and start choking out the planter in this position here. With more C4 options, there is the option that we saw from Goga recently to throw this C4 and it will land. Does it land? No, it lands within 4 meters of the default plant. So that's what we saw Goga do. It killed the planter post-plant, but that was the idea anyway. You can of course get really aggressive on these meeting windows, but I don't recommend it. Yeah, the C4 option. What? I had to restart my game because, well, I couldn't retrieve my C4, but now I can. So restart it. So one other option is to run out of antechamber and then most likely rotate back in through lobby. Then let's get back up here. The problem is that the repeller on meeting balcony needs to be really high up in order for you to get an angle onto that player, as you probably just saw. You can also run out of these kind of windows. I would recommend the westmost one because we're not going to rotate back through the lobby. We're going to have to rotate through, or we're going to ideally want to rotate through garage, maybe yellow stairs. Yellow stairs is more risky. I love this setup run out that you can ask one of your defenders to make for you. Another option while we're here is to run out of here onto these stairs, and then when you're done playing with that angle, it's relatively safe actually because of these bars here on both ends. So I've seen DZ use this run out before. They prepped all this stuff here too. We even see G2 set up the stuff but not use it properly. But options for sure. Let's make our way back to the second floor now. I also recently saw Giants use this. It's one of my favorite rotates on any map. You can vault through yellow stairs into cabinet. Very cool. You can also use it as an attacker. There are, of course, runouts of console office. It's a very similar runout. You don't actually need to open up both walls, or you don't have to open up both windows, but there we go. Onto the balcony there. Let's get back inside. I mean, this whole time you're going to be detected, but we know that the attack is all from the east side, from admin, and then towards the balcony, right? So we're not super worried about us dying. Let's try this again. So that's one. So that's one C4 placement on the spiral balcony, or just spiral. That one that you would kill if a player is there. Another is here. This is copy room. Well, actually, you have to be shooting that much in order to retrieve that. But anyway, that's the outside of copy room. We know there will be a player there. And then we also have our default plant, which is what I flubbed earlier, and I'm not going to try that again. But anyway, it would be like right there. Those are our C4 denial spots in terms of ways to do that. Let's talk about flank. So the important ones are, we already talked about how we want an attacker on spiral. Well, we also want a defender to move their way up spiral. So we have the C4 option if there is a player on spiral. And then let's look at this denial, although I think we highlighted it. But so from spiral, not worried about any player that's going to hold me from Visa because he's too busy watching connector. I'm not worried about copy room because he's too busy watching long desk. I can come up spiral and deny plant. You might want to even open up some stop destruction here, and we saw Reciprocity do that recently versus TSM in order to just get some better lines of sight into that default plant slot. And then lastly is the Visa flank. So we know this hatch is going to be open, right? Well, I can late flank. There's going to be no pressure over admin hatch just because, well, like, they're too busy doing the plant. So if I plant during the execute, I can come up. A player is expected to be right here in the spot and kill him. I can then continue to aggress, but most likely that'll be enough to stop the plant if it's early in their procedure. Another option, of course, is instead of coming from like the spiral area, you could come from the basement. So maybe you have a pulse, for instance. I think we've seen pulse now twice being used from LG and Reciprocity in denying from this Visa flank. And he was able to late flank onto these Visa stairs, surface stairs, and net at least a 2K in both instances because there just isn't any coverage from attackers. Well, not yet. There is obviously a lot of opportunity to put a air jab here, some track stingers here, whatever, right, to just stop the player from being able to peek like this angle here. So as long as attackers figure out a way to cut off a defender from moving into this spot here, I wonder if you could even, where's the Claymore spot? No, you couldn't. But as long as attackers start to think of ways in order to stop the player from moving up the service stairs, this will be probably the best way to deny plant because you can of course continue to move up and then kill the planter himself. When we think about how to deny the plant, this meeting take that attackers are doing, it's not through reinforcements, it's through the plays that we need players to be able to make, to be able to determine based on the positioning of the callouts that we are given. So lots of intel would be ideal on this site when we're defending this site in order to enable us to shot call exactly what needs to be done. But it really comes down to the decision making of the players in order to read into the situation and figure out where they need to be in order to make a play. C4 obviously important because C4 gives us a lot of denial methods. Smoke, Maestro, there's a nice little Maestro Evil Eye spot that you can place an Evil Eye here. Actually, because there's a guy holding plant there, it might be more ideal to put the Evil Eye, say, in this corner, so that this player needs to peek out and shoot the Evil Eye if they're going to destroy it. But also, you know, most attackers bring nades or some way to remove Evil Eyes in this spot. In previous VODs, we've talked about why it's so difficult to contest the admin entrance. That's because there's so many repels where you can cut off rotations, right? If I have a player on this repel here, then no anchor or lurker can really rotate out of admin into this front office. And this copy room repel also stops any rotation out from, say, copy room, you know, admin through copy room back into long desk. So we can't contest admin itself. It's very difficult to do so, at least. We've seen G2 try to place that player in this corner here and just kind of play his life, but hasn't really worked so much in their favor because typically you lose that player. Can't waste some time, but what I actually have seen in the past is a way to contest the attackers from moving past this zone here. And I think that this is probably the strongest counter strategy to the current meeting take that we're seeing from team. So first thing, let's talk about reinforcements. We of course have 2 in meeting wall, 1 on copy room, and as I mentioned a million times, admin wall. Cool, those are the reinforcements that are required. This wall is most likely going to be opened up, but we don't care because, you know, it's not really relevant to the strategy so much. Then we have players in 3 positions. 1 is long desk, 1 is in meeting, and 1 is in copy room, although they kind of move between these 2 positions. Why? Well, the first thing is we have a deployable shield on front or long desk, and this player is supposed to hold the front office in tandem with the player in meeting who has a crossfire there. The player behind the deployable shield can also hold the copy room if need be, although he needs to swing out a little more. And the player in meeting can even move closer to service stairs and play a very long angle. Although it's not ideal, and as I mentioned, we expect this wall to be opened up. So, high risk. Now the focus comes on to this player who has a lot of fluidity. So DarkZero will use mute. I actually think that Jaeger should play in this position because in this scenario, this is a close quarter combat engagement, but this is a long engagement. Whereas in this scenario, this is a long engagement and this is a close quarter combat engagement. And I just think you need to worry about the long more so than the short. Whereas mute in a position like here is going to be focused only on short stuff, right? Like front desk and service stairs, all very short, close quarter combat stuff. But also, mute has a C4. DarkZero will use a pre-play C4, but in order to contest this balcony repel, we can throw the C4 out onto balcony and kill the player there. So I'm going to let this clip play, and this is kind of the way that I would counter-strat against a team who is using this new refined meta attack through admin into meeting. Let's also point out that like lots of utility needs to be used in ADSs around this copy room entrance. They put jammers here. There's barbed wire in the front office and copy room in order for this player to kind of swing out into any player in copy room. And yeah, there's like a million ways that you can counter strat against this defense, but remember, this is a counter strat to an attack that teams are just kind of defaulting to at this point, and is too refined. So some options: if you don't want players to make individual plays, then this is an option for your entire defense to orient themselves in order to contest what attackers are currently doing in order to plant and meeting from that balcony, meeting balcony, and the coverage coming from admin office. As long as you can stall as long as possible, then, you know, when this collapses, then you can have your defenders kind of back off and start to make plays on main stairs, flanking up visa or service stairs, and that will be more potent just because the attackers will be crunched for time and unable to make proper adjustments, since, you know, that time is against them.
Even if they don't have a whole lot of wins in Pro League, even if they haven't been hot recently, you still got to put that respect on their name because they can do so much damage to you if you just let them.
Nick's going for a bit of a flank down Visa stairs momentarily. His Dustlebox has made his presence known inside of admin. There's no Nitro, and at least below him right now. The Jackal Track coming out onto Mint won't be all that effective. It's going to identify the smoke on yellow stairs. It's a very common position. Hot and playing close with an ADS reinforcement and a mute jam. Thermite charge will come out to know about the long angle from admin, so we'll push here from Bison and Dustlebox. Apple joining as well, not getting spawn peaked. So for Father's back here, a good entry into admin, but they need to quicken this progression further. They've got 2 barriers in front of them, right at the vending machine waiting to slow them down.
Yeah, the fact that there's so many DarkZero players like playing so aggressively with this deployable shield, very good. Houghton gets some rewards to get the first kill, and Houghton gets a second as well. Takes down Dustlebox and Apple, not in that order. So a C4 and a headshot come out from him, and now you've once again taken down the Buck, and again, the Jackal as well. So 2, again, important operators. I mean, Apple, that's the second time in a row where he's died very early. So you're worried about that, especially with his stronger performance in that first round. Still, though, I mean, it's a 3-on-5. It's not unwinnable. That makes it tougher. Nyx gets the down onto Bison on the stairs. 2-on-5 now, and it's, again, Kenki and Kakatari who will come forward, and Kenki gets the headshot on a Hyper. Not too bad at all from him. Looking up the stairs, wants to try to find another one. They are really wanting to get going with it now. You can tell that maybe they heard us say they were going a little bit slow because they are not afraid to push forward. Nyx is in a great position, and he'll push forward. The last kill of the round goes in his favor.
I think that is it for the video. So, an official, take care, and I hope that this kind of video was helpful in understanding the way to contest this now very, very refined meeting execute that we've seen a lot from G2 and TSM. So the first thing to think about is how much drop position I can create. That will just make my graphics card freak the fuck out.